Brilliant, I'm going to do three things. I'm going to give a bit of a refresher on absolute and relative cell referencing, and we're going to talk about naming cells to avoid problems. So in this example, I've got three items: orange, apple and lemon. They each have a net price. Each of these, we're going to assume for this example, has some sales tax associated with it, and we've put our sales tax in the cell B1 and labelled A1 as sales tax. Why we do this is often one of the best practice spreadsheeting rules is that if you're going to use a value more than once, you should keep it separate. You should keep it in its own, what we call an input cell. And the reason we do this is it makes it easier for updating, and errors are more easily avoided. So we've got our sales tax. We want 15% on each of these, and we've got a total price. So what we'll do first is we'll talk about, let's just enter in equals the value in B4 multiplied by, shift 8, the sales tax value. And so we're trying to find 15% of 25 cents, and we come up with 0.0375. Now I'm going to copy this down as I would do usually, using the fill handle and just dragging or double clicking depending on how my spreadsheet's set up. And you notice we get some odd results. We get a 0 in cell C5 and we get a hash value in C6. Now the reason we get these is because by default Excel uses relative referencing. That means that these cell references update depending on where we are. So where we started, I said I wanted to multiply B4 by B1. So the next one down will be B5, which moved down a row. So this one will move down a row and multiplies by B2, which returns 0. And likewise by B3, which is trying to multiply by some text. So clearly that's wrong. So what we would usually do is make this absolute, and what we mean by that is that we fix it in place. The easiest way to do that is to use F4 to enclose it in dollar signs. We're saying we want to multiply B4, which will remain relative, by absolute B1, and we copy that down, and then we can double click and we get a sensible answer. That's $21. That's why that looked like that's quite a lot for a lemon. We'll add that up, and then we'll say equals that plus that, and that should be nice and easy. And let's just use some kind of currency format to tidy it up. So that's nice and easy. And that's a really quick look at absolute cell referencing using F4 to anchor those things. Now, another way that we can do this is to name this cell here. So we would call this something like sales tax. There are a number of different ways of naming a cell, and a couple of reasons why we would name a cell. The first one is I've just explained. It helps to make it absolute. It also helps to make formulas more understandable. So I'm going to name that. I'm just going to type in sales underscore, because we can't have a space in the name, and tax, and then hit enter. So that's one way of making a name. Now I'm going to go back and update my formula. Just going to highlight that and click on that again. Now instead of getting B1, we get the word sales tax, and it's read, it's a named cell or a defined range in Excel, and so it knows it, and we can copy that down and everything will update. Now what do I mean by it knows it? Well, we can get to sales tax wherever we are. Just click on the name box, select sales tax, it'll take us back to that cell. Notice it's taken us back to B1, not A1. A1 isn't the name cell, it's just where we've got our label, and I think that's where people get confused. So let's just have a quick look at how we can alter these things. If we go into our formula tab, we see here we've got this area here called Define Names. So this is where we can, and this is the area that looks after our named cells or our named ranges. I can name a whole range of cells just as I can name one. So let's just select this, and we're going to give this a name. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to go into the name manager, and I'm going to say I want a new name, and I'm going to call it, sales table. And I'm going to, because I've got it selected, it's got the range here, A3 to A6, and it's going to say OK that. So in this worksheet or workbook, I've got two named areas. In this area here in the name manager, I can edit, I can delete, can change things. So if I wanted to change my area for my sales table, the way I do it is I'd go into edit, and then I might say, well, I don't want the whole thing, I just want these things or these two columns. So I just go in there and define it like that. That's a nice easy way. Okay, let's just insert a couple more rows here, and we'll put sales tax. It doesn't matter where this goes, let's just throw it over there just for a moment, and when I go back there it knows where it is, but we're going to put it here. And what I'm going to do is just add another couple of, well, no, we'll just do one. We'll just add a label called discount, and we'll have a 10% discount. Now I'm inclined to use decimals, but you can format these things. Some people like to see them as a percentage. It doesn't matter, because that's just formatting, and we all know about formatting. Okay, another way to define a name is to go back into formulas and use this create from selection, which is a nice easy way. What it does is it takes the label from the left column or the top row, whichever you select, and it applies it to that cell there. And it doesn't like that for some reason. I think we have to go like that, do we? There we go. Sorry, I should have selected them both. I didn't know what I was talking about. So now we have that cell there as discount. So if I said, let's just increase my range here a wee bit, and I might say that we pay a sales tax, but we also get a discount, and equals that times the discount. So it just enters it in there. And then we might say minus. This is a very unrealistic example, but I think it's quite a nice way to show you why you would use name cells or name ranges, or what. Probably the two main reasons are it's a nice easy way, a tidy way of making a cell reference absolute, but also it makes a formula much easier, I believe, to understand. So that's very quick and simple named ranges.